So, Graves not available. We've seen a bit of a rise of prominence of Graves the last couple of days. Again, just saw it in the previous game for Splice, but they did get perfect games, so can't draw too many conclusions on that.
Excluding the Elise, it was also Spirit's most played jungler. I want to see whether or not they're going to ban Lee Sin, which is something that Spirit has fallen back to multiple times when it has been available.
Zven coming in, and the Kalista follows suit. So, no Kalistar, not in any way, shape, or form.
That's a curious one, Pyra. So, Febiven used to be known for his Zed, very much so. And is kind of a pick that is hovering around the meta, but it's certainly not a top-tier mid laner. We've seen a lot of Azir the last couple of days. We know Peke hasn't been too hot on the Azir over time.
Yeah, and of course, earlier today in LCK, Faker actually lost in with his Zed. I wonder if it's not being set up for a potential LeBlanc pick. With the Zed gone away, the Azir gone away, the support from the jungler of Graves. Maybe looking for a comfortable pick. You could just go safe and lock in Corki if you wanted to.
Yeah, but Nidalee was left open with the Lulu band away. That's instantly snapped up by Origen. Amazing will be happy to get his claws on that one.
And there is a lot available for Gamsu. They have not taken anything really away from Gamsu's playbook. You could argue the Graves has been top lane as well. So, I mean, now the Poppy's up for Gamsu, the Nautilus, although we have seen no Nautilus yet this week. Small hit to his kit with the patch 6.5, but nobody's wanted to play it.
Yesterday, Poppy Lucian was the picks for Fnatic. They were red side against Elements, and we've seen a major priority on Poppy this week with that hit that Nautilus has taken, so I'd expect that one not to change.
Yeah, I would expect the same with the Poppy, but the Lucian is an interesting one to me, and as Corki gets locked in, remember, yesterday Origen showed us that they can play Jhin, and the interesting thing about that is Fnatic actually ban away the Kalista now. At IEM, this was a play they hardly ever did, because they'd allow their opponents to take the Kalista, and they'd reply with the Jhin, so obviously not getting baited into this by Origen. They know both sides of the coin are playable by both teams.
Oh yeah, and there is a reason these two were at the top of the table last year. Still a hype matchup between them. There's that Trundle being considered, but I also want to think about this Jhin. It's still an option. We've seen Febiven just go absolutely ham on Corki. It's still available.
It is still available, but as kind of expected for Origen, if ever they can get Zven onto the Lucian, always has been a good pick for him. He's very strong at pretty much every point of the game for Zven. Haven't got the Lulu to pair it with, but I wouldn't be too worried about that if I were an Origen fan.
And Captain Serious, there's your Trundle. Does land in Soaz's hands. Look, there is the possibility that could be flexed for Mithy to run. He has done it twice this split already, but we're anticipating it to end up in Soaz's hands. And for Fnatic, they've now got to reveal whether or not they want to run that Corki ADC or just give it to Febiven as a comfort pick. He had a great performance last week, despite looking average and slow at IEM.
Yeah, at this point though, I'm wondering now where the mid lane and top lane, or not top lane, sorry, the mid lane is going to go for Origen, because Nidalee is fairly reliant on having winning lanes so you can go in and counter jungle. That's one of the biggest things right now for Nidalee, and if they can't push in mid lane and bottom lane, I mean, top lane Trundle is not really going to push too hard early on, especially not in this kind of matchup. Trundle is going to be a later game pick here, so Amazing may not have the same kind of freedom that we've grown accustomed to a Nidalee having in the early game.
Yeah, that is definitely true. But if Origen can get off to a flying start, we'll see what they end up rounding their bottom lane out with. The Braum was, of course, taken away, but you got to consider the supports that are still available. And, well, the Bard wasn't one of the first that came to mind, but if they do pick that up, that would be something.
Yeah, it would be. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this LeBlanc locked in. Get rid of one of those natural counters in Zed. It does allow Febiven to play a strong early game, mid laning in that Corki if he opts into it. But basically going to reveal their hand and allow Fnatic to decide. What do they want to run? A counter to the LeBlanc, or a comfort pick that can stall later? Or just lock in the Jhin or a different ADC for Rekkles and play that poke siege style that they can...
That is the question.
Work around with Braum.
Well,
out. That's a Bard locked in with a LeBlanc, so we will see.
So going from EU LCS alone, this is the first time we'll be seeing Mithy on the Bard. And, you know, it's kind of so far removed from his preferential champions. He likes the Alistar, the Braum, the Trundle, those kind of tanky champions. Bard doesn't really get that. He's a lot more about that catch and lockdown and that kind of utility rather than just tank. And, you know, what he will offer with the Lucian is insane amounts of damage in the laning phase. You can look at Bard and Lucian right now and say, well, Zven and Mithy, they want to dominate the 2v2 here. If they end up in that situation, Then how do Fnatic respond to that? Do they now look for a different AD carry that can play a little bit further back, or do they look for something with lane presence on itself? I don't know whether you can really have more damage in trades than Lucian and Bard right now with this setup.
Well, one man might know the answer. We just saw Daylor on the screen, and as we say it, the Ezreal's locked in for Rekkles. This has been something he's gone to pre-IEM, of course, and pre-Jin.
Well, if you're a Fnatic fan and you follow their EU LCS record, Rekkles is 0-3 on Ezreal. He has to turn that around if Fnatic want to pick up a win here, even out that head-to-head score and set themselves up for some very strong tiebreaker possibilities. But Poke, Siege, that's what it's all the name of the game for Fnatic.
That's not the only unfortunate set of stats for you. Gamsu is also 0-3 on Poppy right now. So as good as a pick it is in the meta, and should seemingly fit Gamsu, hasn't really been one of those picks for them that they've been big on.
Yeah, it has been a lot of trouble for him. Gamsu himself has had quite a lot of ups and downs in the performances, and we'll have to see if Origen can get it.
I'm a big fan of what Origen have put together in terms of their pick, power, and priorities. The flags are lit on stage, Fnatic and Origen. The two heavyweights of the European LCS in 2015. Now battling for 4th seed. How the mighty have fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, jump onto Twitter and let us know who you think is going to be picking up these wins. You know the deal. Hashtag OGWin or hashtag FNCWin. Because it's all about this. There we go. There's your team comps, everybody. That's what I've been looking for. You know the story. You know the comps. It's time to load up for Fnatic versus Origen. And Soaz is going to finish this one off.
Gordian pace, he got it!
Oh, it's always a great one between these two teams. Fnatic, Origen, a good old classic here in Europe. Only a year in the making. Let's see how it goes as they get ready to go onto the Rift.
Onto the Rift, and I'm going to immediately draw your attention to the items pane, because if ever there was an indicator that OG want to look to take this game at the beginning, the crowd are hyped. It's a Dark Seal start on LeBlanc. Going for that Medjay's, they want to snowball hard from mid.
Oh, no hiding about it. xPeke says, we can beat you guys. We are that much better. It'll be a tough task, even though Fnatic had been struggling a bit. They showed they have the potential to really rock some faces after IEM. Gotta be careful, Peke. Early dash away.
And remember, both of these teams have completely different mindsets after yesterday's performances. Fnatic dropping the game to Elements was a monumental shock for European LCS viewers, and Origen absolutely crushed Giants in the most dominant performance they've had all split long. So now we need to see how they're going to react to the stage, to the pressure, knowing how important seeding is.
Yeah, well, the crowd not only behind teams apparently right now, Trevor. You've got
hey, that's a first. That's a first. I'll take that one. Thanks,
We've got a
guys.
whole new one going here. It's a new tradition, new day in Europe. But yeah, the seeding is just such an all-important thing, because the difference between 4th and 6th can mean quite a lot. And of course, a whole lot of tiebreakers in the event of Fnatic winning.
Yeah, it can mean a lot, but everybody's focus right now is going to be on this all-important game, because, I mean, right now, you look at what Origen have got set up, the Thunderlords as standard on Braum, you want that trading damage, works so well with the Meeps as well, but what they're looking at here is Peke against Febiven in this middle lane, and you know, LeBlanc into Corki, it tends to be a matchup where Corki will shove out fairly heavily early on. You've got to use Distortion to try and push that wave back, and that leaves you in a bit of trouble every now and again.
It does, as Gamsu is right now. Origen initiated the lane swap. We'll see how this pans out in terms of who's going to get the tower pressure down, but maybe a double psych. Fnatic not opting into it despite the power of that Lucian Bard. You know, trying to run away from it, and Origen outthinking themselves, maybe.
The other side from this is it does give Origen a little bit more room when it comes to this Nidalee middle lane, though Soaz already in.
Oh, has to spend the exhaust and the flash to get away from Soaz. A lot of damage return fire onto him, but he is looking low and bleeding to start this game off.
And this now really punishes Febiven, because there's no way he can reliably continue to push out, because just the LeBlanc, now that exhaust is gone, is going to be able to burst Febiven down. Ignite on LeBlanc, so all she's got to do is trade once or twice in the lane, and then go in for the all-in, and Febiven has to play this carefully now for the next few minutes.
Yeah, you said it yourself, looking to snowball. He's got that Dark Seal. If he can start picking the kills on it, it could be a sure way to a monster LeBlanc in that mid game. We see the clinical swap in the top, in the bottom, just 3-on-0 to start things off. A little bit of gold infused into both these teams, and no other aggression but the mid.
And something that we've noticed more and more as these lane swaps progress out is how teams work with the Rift Herald in those next stages 4, stages 5. And both Fnatic and Origen had pretty good performances with the Rift Herald at Intel Extreme Masters. So I want to take a look at who's going to get the priority, who's going to be able to secure the buff, and then more importantly, apply pressure on the turrets to gain any sort of lead. So Soaz will share that gold with Zven, as his recall didn't finish just in time. And Sven's already picked up that cull, as we're seeing more and more Tia and Cull, something we're also seeing from Ezreal's across the world.
Yep, across the world, fairly standard right now. We spoke to Febiven yesterday to ask why he seems to be the only AD carry that doesn't build it, and he was just like, you know, I don't think he gives you too much. So it definitely is player preference, and you can see how this middle lane has flipped now. It's Peke that's shoving in Febiven. Febiven is kind of just going to sit back for a while, knows he has to just play somewhat safe, and honestly, that is the big turnaround there for Origen, is they managed to now really put Febiven under pressure just from Soaz coming mid early. It was a little bit different of a timed gank in that middle lane. You don't always expect that to happen, and it's allowed Soaz to not only help his middle laner, but now that he gets top, this is a little late to back away, but as long as Klaj doesn't get a Q here, Soaz should be fine. So
Soaz was pushing that wave out as best he can, trying to prevent any sort of shenanigans that Fnatic have put down, and very good trade. In actual fact, Peke opted into that and comes off worse for wear. Support from Mithy roaming up. Can the Cosmic Binding stun? There's a wall. Finds Febiven, but there's no follow-up from Peke.
It was already under tower, so Mithy tries to help Peke make the play. Not quite enough. Spirit, however, is going to be going through his own jungle, see if he can get some defense down to this bottom side. A big wave was pushing in towards it, thanks to Zven as they turned this one around. So after the early tower trades, not a whole lot doing, but OG do have a 500 gold lead.
Yeah, look at the difference in approach. No pressure from Rekkles and Klaj in that top lane. They've opted to freeze, give all that farm to Gamsu. And that's going to help out in this Poppy Trundle matchup, because Soaz is going to have to either overextend, which you can see him doing on the mini-map right now. Very little vision, but there is support with Mithy and Amazing coming up the river.
Yeah, and this is going to be the key thing here, is the vision that comes from Mithy and Amazing not only will help protect Soaz, but if you see Amazing and Peke go around as a two-man roam squad here, they could look for Febiven in the middle lane right now. If they wanted to swoop down from the backside, it looks like they want to focus topside right now, but there are kind of pockets opening. They got a flash from Gamsu as well.
Yeah, burned him away here. Peke still trading a little bit with Febiven in the mid, but a lot of pressure on OG's side. Now Zven is moving on, and Febiven didn't see that one coming. A dash and a dash back. The Valkyrie not quite getting him out of harm's way. He's oh so low, but under tower.
Well, listen, you bring Peke in to the mid lane, and he just says, everyone come help. We've seen everybody but Amazing in that middle lane. And talking about things we're seeing, Fnatic want to see a whole lot. 5 pink wards in their inventory.
Well, right now, against the likes of a Nidalee, a Bard that's going to look to get in the enemy jungle, a LeBlanc that you want to try and catch out, you have to have that vision. But a little bit of a different page there from Peke and Zven. They obviously had no real crowd control without the chains landing, and Peke didn't want to commit. There was a lot of minions pushing towards him. He wanted the farm. So it's another situation where Febiven gets pushed back away, and it's hindering his lane now. Peke is up by just over 10 CS, and this is a good start for Origen.
Yeah, and it's all that pressure and all the attention they've been giving this mid lane to keep Febiven on his toes, recognizing his superior threat, recognizing that they need to shut him down before he gets going. It's so different from last year's Origen, where Peke pretty much AFK'd for 30 minutes before his team would usually win the game. Yeah,
that is fairly true, but the one thing that they have sacrificed for this is Soaz. He is down in CS, is about a level behind as well. I think he's about to hit level 5, and Gamsu has been 5 for a while. Yeah, there is the level up for Soaz. So that's what they've been kind of hamstringing to get this attention onto Peke, which, if they can start getting kills from mid lane, should be okay for Origen, but this Trundle is going to be so necessary the later this game goes to be able to hold against Gamsu.
We'll see how well both teams play out the mid game. Rekkles and Klaj are now moving their way up top.
And there's our best friend.
As Soaz catches that wave down bottom. So this is the longest time that he's going to be sitting comfortably farming. And Fnatic have invested some of those resources into vision in terms of that bottom quadrant. Spirit, after losing his red buff, we caught a glimpse of Amazing securing that one. Will most likely be able to come up top. 1, 2, 3, 4 members of Fnatic theoretically setting up a siege.
Up on the top side, we'll take a look, and that is not the fan vote we expect when we hear all those Fnatic chants week in and week out. It appears they've been eclipsed this time by Origen.
The power of xPeke, Pirate.
Yeah, and the power of not wanting tiebreakers, apparently. 4 members, though, up on this top side. Spirit stunned by the Cosmic Binding. Ooh, just gets away. Safe
Teleport coming out, though. Here comes Soaz.
Let's find out what he can do. Keeper's Verdict boots Zven away. That's one of the primary damage dealers. But the Pillar of Ice splits up Fnatic. 4 members slow. Mystic Shot goes wide from Rekkles as Klaj is forced to flash away defensively. Pounces forward for Amazing. Rekkles and Gamsu trying to get away from the lives. But here comes Febiven.
Big package on in there, and Exhaust is down instantaneously, stunned up. Origen looking for a second win. Everyone's getting bloodied, and the first blood goes to Amazing.
That's the only kill, though, of this entire fight here. 1 kill for the entire trade. Now Gamsu's going to collect the wave from bottom lane. At this point, Peke decided very early on in that fight, I'm not going to go for the damage dealers. I'm going to go for the level 3 Braum here. Force the flash, get damage onto a couple of other people. And it got Fnatic so low that they couldn't reliably stand behind Klaj at any point. A lot of summoners burned from both teams during that engagement. Febiven kind of showing up just enough to make Origen back off at the end of that fight, and when it's all said and done, it's 1 kill from all of that fighting.
Yeah, and of course, all started off with Fnatic pushing this gigantic wave into the tower. Gamsu is already with the team. Great flash. I had missed that flash the first time around, but I really like the fact that Origen were no hesitation on the call to engage.
Well, the Poppy ult, even though Amazing flashed it, it was Lucian that got blasted back, so I was kind of holding whether it was a good flash or not at the beginning. Peke managed to roam up first before Febiven, even with the package. But that was such a good double binding out by Mithy. I said maybe Mithy isn't, you know, the biggest Bard player when it comes to his performances here in the European LCS. Great stun, locks 2 people down, allows for the kill.
Yeah, and with the way Fnatic were pretty much pinned up against the wall in the start of that fight, you almost have to question Febiven's decision to go in on the package Valk, because he just ends up losing his life on that one.
Oh, this is scary. This is scary.
Rekkles!
Oh, woohoo! I don't know why I'm getting so excited, because there's support coming for Fnatic. Spirits and Klaj come down, but they get Rekkles' flash. And Origen, they're now grouped for this tower.
How would you always bring so many members to this party?
They do. They've got a magical journey to get there. It was a little bit optimistic by Mithy. I think he was like, everybody go! And then they realized they've got no minion wave behind it. So it was a good journey not to take.
Hey, they got the summoner spell.
Yeah, they did. It's still a good trade onto Rekkles. But Gamsu is extending this lead. Look at it. 75 CS to 46 right now. Gamsu level 8 to Soaz level 6. And we were talking about how if you can take Gamsu away from Fnatic, take him off his strengths, that's when Fnatic look weakest. And right now, Gamsu's getting a lot of room to breathe.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of resources. Currently around 700 gold more than his opponent Soaz. But we need to see it work. 50% of that cooldown for teleport is available. Very good combo from Peke onto Febiven. Wins that trade out, and it looks like this bottom tower will fall the second of the game in favor of Origen. So they extend their gold lead to just shy of 2,000 as the game progresses.
Yep, unanswered there by Fnatic. Pressure is too real on him. Febiven still on his toes as Peke just keeps leaping in, leaping out. Soaz now looking onto the free farm for a while. He has been down versus Gamsu, but he will have a bit of a chance to try and answer a little bit of it back. Origen, however, they're bringing more people into this mid. Amazing still there. The wave is gone from Febiven's Fast Bomb. Now they continue on their journey up to the top.
The thing is, they can't commit for that tower at any point yet. It's still basically full health. Mithy gets his recall stop and gets a ward. So just enough to protect Peke. Everything from this game is like, well, let's get Peke fed, and hopefully this will win the game for us.
I think that's super important when you consider Corki and Ezreal, the 2 champions that Fnatic are running from their mid and ADC. If Peke is able to chunk them out or burst them down out of team fights, that just gives so much freedom to Origen. Especially when you consider how limited their wave clear is.
Yeah, the problem though is if they're stacking so much towards that, then if they get caught in a fight where Peke is not there, if, for instance, Spirit Febiven can find, you know, Soaz as he's underleveled, or even Zven, somebody like that.
That's one way to clear a wave.
It's gonna be difficult one. I just think of those minions as, if I take one more step from here, this is the furthest I've ever been.
At least they're all together.
That is a part of the rift that a siege minion has never seen. Got a one-way ticket
out of water.
to the danger zone, just in front of the Brambleback.
All right. So the Rift Herald gets taken by Amazing after all of that loveliness, and they still are stacking very heavily on this top side. Klaj might be caught in a trap here. Magical Journey Flash.
It's not over yet because now Gamsu's coming in. There's no Keeper's Verdict because he used it on the minions. Klaj's gone down. Now Gamsu's got 4 members to deal with. Amazing's killed out. One more auto. Teleport from Soaz into the waiting hands of Spirit. The flash kick back.
Meanwhile, Febiven, though, he's caught up with the chains, but not enough damage Pekka could put down to take him out. It's just a 1-for-1. Klaj and Amazing both going down.
It was enough, though, to show that Pekka was coming up from the bottom side with the Ignite. It meant that after the Bard ultimate, everybody from Fnatic was like, okay, I don't think we can take this fight. And again, Mithy is showing us that he is pretty proficient on Bard right now. He's landed some big abilities.
Yeah, let's take a look at it here. Klaj, you know, he gets away for the moment, but still, a lot could have been avoided if Gamsu had only held that ult.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, Gamsu right now knows he can get the damage down onto Amazing. Rekkles will be calling this now. The fact that the Braum Q hit, or at least the passive proc before Braum died, was such a big factor there because it meant they had to keep moving back. But Rekkles just on the edge of that tempered fate. But here was Peke zoning from the bottom side. Febiven has to be careful in all of these situations.
And I think it's very important that Gamsu is a player who was really far ahead of Soaz, now has a teleport and flash advantage over Soaz. So I want to see if Fnatic can play the side lanes. They're still 2,000 gold down, so they have to play intelligently around the map to claw back that gold deficit.
The thing is, Soaz over the last few minutes has recouped so much of that deficit. I mean, we were at 75 to 40 at one point with CS and a 2-level advantage. That has been evened out to now just about a third of a level between Gamsu and Soaz. So there's been a lot of extra time for Soaz to get himself back into the game. But one player that's had to put themselves a little bit behind the curve on their build is Febiven here. He went Hex Drinker before the Triforce is completed.
I know you love that.
Well, we've heard a lot of mid laners talking about this, so it's not ideal, but against somebody like a LeBlanc that already has presence over you and is looking to snowball this game out, it's pretty necessary right now. You have to stay alive. You cannot afford to give kills over to the LeBlanc.
This is all part of Origen's plan, forcing Febiven into a more defensive posture and a more defensive build, slowing him down. Not only that, they gave Soaz a lot of that farm. They said, no, you need to eat. You're starving. Come down here, go up there, and take it away, and then we'll give you some attention. So they're not leaving him out to dry, and that is a very important thing as Mithy looks to chase in on the Gamsu here. Tempered Fate is flashed.
All right, Mithy playing very aggressive on that front line. He's going to take the fight to the teleport lane of Gamsu, knowing that he's got that summoner ability. Peke playing super confident on the side lane, pushing the wave up as Soaz goes to catch the wave up top. So Origen in a controlling position. Wouldn't quite say commanding yet. Fnatic have to figure out how to respond, because look, they're dealing with pressure in 2 lanes at once.
Yeah, spears are starting to hurt. Nidalee pressure from Amazing. He'll have some late game scaling too, going for the Rod of Ages. Slower, but he's able to get it, and Peke just keeps on pressuring.
Soaz has showed top, though, and with no teleport, that does allow Fnatic at least the knowledge to know that Origen aren't about to start a fight anytime soon, especially with the Bard ultimate down. You can't make picks, you can't really look to do too much more than just push out lanes like this.
Well, Origen seem to do that very effectively. Remember that Origen and Fnatic are fighting for the 4th seed through 6th, with the Unicorns of Love as a 3rd member in that race. Good damage onto Spirit, even without a full combo from Peke.
Yeah. The Unicorn's definitely still in that horse race, but Origen, they can lock it up here with a win without forcing any tiebreakers. With the way things are shaking out right now, they do have that lead. Can they keep it? That's the question. Fnatic, they have beaten the odds several times in their long and storied history as an organization. See if they can do it yet again.
This might be one of the best early games we have seen from Origen. The trend is continuing. The shot calling, the map play, the proactive moments. From when Peke was playing last week, even with PoE yesterday against, you know, a struggling Giant squad. Against Fnatic, Origen, they've taken hold of the lead and they've pressured Fnatic continuously over the last 17 minutes.
And then it's just so important going towards the playoffs. We've heard so much from the players of Origen themselves saying that Peke is the presence that they actually need. But as you said, even with PoE, they were still able to do just that. It's almost like the shot calling was in there all along. They just had to bring it out.
Oh, man. I'm having so many flashbacks to like Transformers the movie, the animated one. Anyway, as we look back perhaps at the 17 minutes so far in this game, Spirit, as of yet, hasn't had too much of an opportunity to do anything on the map, and a lot of that is because of how Febiven's been on the back foot. Just the fact that Amazing has been given entry into Spirit's jungle a few times has meant that Spirit hasn't been looking to skirmish, hasn't been looking for plays too often, and he's been there on the fights, but all he's been doing is disengaging. Really, he's not been looking for kills. And when we saw Fnatic doing well with the Lee Sin, a lot of it came from Spirit's performances here on Lee Sin. You know, going side by side with Febiven, with Gamsu, and actually picking people off.
Yeah, and of course the inability to find targets as easily in the lane swap, where he got the more opportunity to do that in previous Lee Sin performances, might be a big reason. Gamsu's already picked up the QSS. So, second item, after he's grabbed the Sunfire Cape, going to be very useful against some of the hard CC that is on the side of Origen, and Origen now extending the deep vision, pushing into Fnatic's jungle.
It's interesting though, because we were speaking to Steve yesterday on the analyst desk, and he was saying that, you know, when it comes to building QSS against Trundle to just get rid of Subjugate, he actually doesn't really think that's cost efficient, because you put so much gold into just one active that just removes the Subjugate, and that's it. You don't get trading stats past that. I mean, there is argument to be made that Trundle is at his strongest when that's available for him and is you know, working. So I don't think it's a particularly bad thing, but what it does allow Soaz is to know, I'm going to stop saying bad English, what Soaz will know here is he can trade more effectively overall against Gamsu, not just when his ult's up.
Yeah, and that's pretty critical. The issue for Gamsu here is on top of it, what else is he going to get? A little bit of MR to deal with Peke and Amazing, sure, but what does he then turn that into? The Mercurial Scimitar, right? Or, like, what is he going to do?
Yeah, we'll have to answer that question later. Gamsu's on trouble. Steadfast Presence is up.
Bold.
There is some support from Spirit as the Verdict sends Amazing away. And Gamsu gets away just using an ultimate.
Yeah, but look at the numbers that Fnatic had here. Keeper's Verdict was used, and it was really only Soaz that was there. I wonder, Fnatic, could they have looked to have done something more there? They didn't have the most amount of vision through the entrances to their jungle, so I guess they just didn't have a complete read on where Origen were.
I mean, Fnatic are playing the stall game now.
Yeah.
Trinity Force was just picked up for Febiven. The Mirror Man has been completed for Rekkles for a little while, but he hasn't got a second item completed. We know Ezreal really only becomes super powered once he's got that Frozen Fist and maybe Blade of the Rune King as well. So, you know, Fnatic have got a lot of headroom to grow with this Corki and Ezreal combination. And once they get some MR under their belt, the threat of a LeBlanc becomes lowered, is the word I'm going to use. Not insignificant, but it is still a long time away. So Origen are in this great power spike moment or time with their team composition, and I want to see how they pressure or use it.
Yeah, critically, they have to be able to press it on forward. If they don't, they start running into trouble because you get into this late game situation where you have LeBlanc, Nidalee, and Lucian, who aren't particularly going to hit much harder in those later stages. And Fnatic, they're going to hope to outlast, outlive, and be able to outfight.
Well, you always got to keep in mind Zven on Lucian seems to find the right angles, the right areas to get the damage down. But you do bring up a pretty good point, though, is with the Ezreal, with the likes of the Corki, it is going to be Fnatic. They may have an opportunity to come back into this game as well here. That's only the second Dragon of the game going down here, as we're cresting 20 minutes, 21 minutes. So, you know, this could be in for a bit of a long one here. And Origen's early game comp may start running out of juice.
Well, Dark Steel on one stack.
Worst investment.
But not the most kill-focused game, but there has been a lot of action. You can see Gamsu's in trouble.
Yeah, Peke wants to get one. He flashes away, and there he's going to start adding some stacks on. Peke picking up his first kill of the game.
Made it look easy.
Yeah.
He did. Well, I mean, there's no way that hammer was going to hit him. Gamsu, he was bluffing.
Yeah, Poppy against a LeBlanc is basically like going into a hall of mirrors with a hammer. Just you got to try and swing it everywhere. Unfortunately, Keeper's Verdict doesn't work like that, and it goes in one place.
But the mirrors aren't going to kill you.
Well, if you swing the hammer hard enough, they might.
Exactly.
Let's see it again. Like, Peke just says, no, this is mine.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about my hall of mirrors. But anyway, at this point, boop, Peke's still got it.
I like how he flashed just so he could then distort.
And I really think that pick ban phase, getting rid of that Azir, comfort pick for Febiven, getting rid of Zed, comfort pick, historic pick for Febiven, made it even easier, even more comfortable for Peke. Added to the fact that everybody and their dog came to pay a visit to mid lane and really just you know, usher Peke into the mid game, but now he's taking control, playing those side lanes, found a pick solo, and is a real threat. 6,000 gold Origen have built up, more than Fnatic.
Yeah, and that has really exploded the last couple of minutes. They picked up a whole bunch of things across the map. 4 turrets up, or 3 turrets up, 4 to 1. And right now, honestly, for Origen, this is one of the better games that we've seen from them, but part of me is thinking that it's just because Fnatic are sitting back. In so much of this, Fnatic aren't really looking to make plays themselves. They're not looking for objectives. They're not even looking to fight. And that's because Fnatic are buying time for Rekkles to get himself into this game, for Febiven to get a couple of items and really just weather the storm that has been Peke trying to kill him again and again.
Yeah, and as a result, Origen said, that's just fine. If you're not going to fight us, if you're not going to contest for your objectives, we won't snowball on kills, we'll snowball on objectives. 4 towers to 1 is that score, and that makes up a pretty big chunk of what that goal differential is. And the fact that they've kind of adopted a no man left behind, gotten Soaz back up to CS, he's actually built a lead now over Gamsu, who's had a hell of a time trying to get back into this one. And Fnatic have actually sent a lot of members up to this top side to finally knock down that outer turret.
Hey, it didn't go so well for them the last time they tried Pyra, so Fnatic maybe back away going, hang on, we don't quite have the vision and the fact that Peke is shoving in this bottom lane.
TP's coming bottom lane, Gamsu though, into the jungle.
Let's find out who's in trouble. Sven's been pinned against the wall. The true shot barrage comes down and Sven's running for his life.
Yeah, the true shot didn't even hit him as he was popped up in the air for just a moment, so missed timing by Fnatic. They've got to back out.
Big mistiming. Gamsu utilized his teleport there. Bit of a rough time from Rekkles, obviously trying to calculate the velocity of Banana. I don't know how fast they really travel, but
well, Klaj didn't know that either, so
no.
Clearly they've got trouble with that fruit. Klaj himself is in a lot of trouble. That looks not so unbreakable. He's got to have to burn his flash to get away. This opens the gates right now for Fnatic to try for the inner, but it's Soaz who puts the pillar down, and Klaj says, stand behind me. I'll stand behind Rekkles, but he's standing at the fountain after that, and a quick kill picked up. Peke getting the assist on that one. Spirit gets picked off to Zven, and he's down. Rekkles with a pickup to answer it back. And Mithy now going low from the Rockets. Magical Journey is taken. Soaz is trying to get out of there. That was a short one. See if he can get himself to safety. Fnatic still trying for the chase. They back away now.
He's going to be out, and Peke wanted to go back in, but thought second of it as 4 people were standing around him. So that initially it was a play that Fnatic had to make. They looked to be heading top to take down top turret, but noticed Zven sitting in the middle lane and didn't want to lose their mid tower from this. So this is after Fnatic initiated the play. They looked to lock down Klaj. This is a good set of damage onto it, but then Origen looked to commit. Soaz says, okay, I can come from the top side. This is good for us. The problem is right here. Fnatic now enclose Origen and put a lot of damage down from afar by Febiven and Rekkles here. It's all on Spirit, kicking Zven right into the waiting arms of Rekkles and Gamsu. And from there, Origen just have to retreat out. Even though Soaz is fairly strong right now, he cannot afford to be there.
And multiple flashes blown to get away from that Dragon's Rage kick. There's trouble here for Febiven. The chains come down. Exhaust is on Peke, but it's just buying time. Oh, that was a little close, but eventually Febiven goes down. Ended up using that exhaust for a few seconds. Look at the bottom lane. Gamsu's being pushed in deep as Soaz has used his subjugate. QSS comes out, and Gamsu unable to fend off Soaz.
5 towers to 1 after all said and done. Peke gets himself another kill. He's starting to stack him up. He's got 6 sitting on that Dark Seal. Now he's saying that's a worthwhile investment. Just took some time to pay out.
Yeah, that's stacking up. Got to get that Dark Seal going.
And of course, that's the damage from the team fight that we caught on replay a moment or two ago that led into the Raptor camp. With Rekkles doing a whole lot, but he was standing on the back line by that true shot barrage, those mystic shots, etc.
He was poking away from the back, whereas Zven was dead before it really got going.
Yeah, he was a little preoccupied.
So, yeah, he didn't get too much damage out there. Also, you had the same feeling I did with that true shot barrage. I was like, ooh, halfway across the map. Turns out it's on his own team.
Yeah.
That happens.
I was hoping it was going to buy time for Febiven to flash, but it didn't work out, unfortunately. And Febiven then got dropped. And with an 8,000 gold deficit, it's a good time to remind everybody what's at stake. If Origen win this game, we have a maximum possible number of tiebreakers of 2 games. If Origen win.
And Origen would guarantee themselves a 4th place finish, which would, of course, then put Fnatic in 6th, and that locks the Unicorns into that 5th place spot. So the picture starts to get a little more clear. If Fnatic win, still foggy.
Up to 6 games, Pyra.
That's
what
a lot.
The forecast is.
Hey, we love ties here in EU.
For a turn in the weather.
We love to break them even more.
But that weather would have to be a drastic typhoon change for Fnatic to claw back the 7,000 gold deficit. But, you know, we've talked history. Last year, Fnatic did it. in their 18-0 run in the regular season. They punished OG, who had a 5K gold lead at the time, or a 6K. But this is worlds apart and different scenarios entirely. Look at that damage.
Peke. They really were right in putting it on him there. Still not enough to zero someone out, but I mean, he's just a constant threat, and Fnatic have to respect it. You
mentioned last year, though, this is, as you said, worlds apart from where we are now for these two teams. Fnatic just seem to have the same kind of problems. It seems like if Gamsu isn't 100% comfortable and is able to get in every kind of fight or push, just kind of needlessly in side lanes, if they can't get that working for them, it becomes impossible for Fnatic to actually win. Teleport's going to be used by Gamsu here, so they've already got the summoner spell, so that's already worth it for Origen.
Yeah, no harm whatsoever. Soaz, he had actually spent his teleport as well, so so that just about evens out. But 28 minutes is the timer on the clock. Fnatic are trying to make something happen in this mid. Remember, they only have one tower on the map. This should be them taking one down, but can Origen counter-engage this one? Peke is nowhere to be found. Tempered Fate lands on 3, I should say.
Spirit's in trouble. He's not going to be able to get away. Flash was unavailable. He didn't even get the kick down. The Glacial Fissure gets put down by Klaj to disengage the fight, but Peke is looking for blood. He's going to dance around the flank, and Mithy saves the tower.
But it's all better for Origen because they just peel back up towards the Baron. Fnatic know they have to at least move that way and just protect against a potential Baron start here. Spirit's still dead for 25 seconds, allows Origen a little bit of room.
It does a little, but Origen, they're going for the Baron. 4 members of Fnatic are still alive.
Peke, though.
Gamsu is around. Peke is playing on the flank. Pillar of Ice comes down to buy some time. Klaj does not have his ultimate. Febi was stuck against the wall, but the engage breaks out.
Gamsu goes in, he's exhausted immediately, and suddenly Peke around the side, he's exhausted right back, but Gamsu's the one who goes down. Zven will pew-pew him out of this one. Rekkles trying to kite out, but Peke is hunting, he's going, chains are on, he takes him out, but Rekkles, that was too much front path for him. Febiven now going low, stopped by the pillar, taken down, it's only Klaj. Spirits come back up trying to join the fight, but Origen have already ended it.
The Baron was not secured. It doesn't look done yet. Soaz decides to go forward. Sonic Wave from Spirit finds nobody. A 1-for-3 extended trade, and Origen will take themselves an inner turret and maybe more.
Yeah, there's a big wave. The Spirit just went to absorb in the top side. Origen are going to look to push this through. 30 seconds left on most of their damage here. Rekkles up in just under 20 means Origen will be able to secure themselves an inhibitor, and we haven't seen this style of play from Origen in a good long while. They're playing with multiple threats and feel very confident doing it. Peke's a threat, Zven's a threat, and even Soaz is. This is a better Origen than we've seen in quite some time.
They've got their mojo back. That cannot be questioned. This Baron play was bold, and it netted some serious results. Gamsu goes in. Well, you know the rest. All of a sudden, he's low.
Yeah, a little bit of mistiming here from Origen when it came to when Peke was coming into the fight. He knew he had to burn the exhaust, though. He knew he wasn't going to get the instant damage down, and couldn't quite get the damage on Peke before Peke returned it. The auto attack follows him over the wall, but the ignite was what finished that one off. From here, it's easy pickings for Origen as they manage to drop the next 2. But again, Origen are playing with a lot more confident than we've seen them. Maybe this is the effect that Peke has on the lineup that Amazing even talked about, is he brings just this level of safety for Origen. They feel just a little bit more together while playing.
And what a mind threat this is going to be for teams looking at the playoffs. You know, coming into the split, there was always going to be the talk that Peke and Power of Evil were going to swap. They were going to have 2 active mid laners. At least that's what the public-facing news was. And it didn't happen until Power of Evil was actually a little too ill to play on stage. And now they've brought Peke in. Yes, Fnatic are a team who are also struggling at the moment. They dropped the game to Elements, which is something that nobody was expecting yesterday. So you have to take that into account. But you also now have to measure the threat and the risk of pulling the Peke card as quarterfinals are looming ever closer.
It's just something that Origen have been packing in the back pocket. And they finally bring it out once again, and you can see the results. 10,000 gold in the lead, and this Baron threat is just so constant. Inhibitors down in the middle. Fnatic are having to respect this. It's already halfway down.
Right now, only one blue trinket was available for Fnatic. They will get the vision.
There is the threat for a steal. Tempered Fate comes out, but it's actually picked up by Peke. Spirit dived in to try steal and gives up his life for the trade. True Shot Barrage has already been fired, and Gamsu, he can't find Soaz with the verdict. Baron secured, the power play is on.
Spirit tried himself a good old steal, but was denied. Crisp play from Origen across the board. Let's see where they can pressure next. There's a big wave down on the bottom side. Soaz and Zven have come to intercept and push it in with Baron and Power minions. Fnatic, they're hanging on for dear life in their own base.
And realistically, if you'd have told me coming into 2016 that Febiven would have been pushed around by xPeke, who wasn't even the starter on the lineup for Origen, I would have called you a liar, people, after how Worlds Febiven played. But we find ourselves in one of the last games of the split, and that is exactly what has happened. Febiven just has not been able to get into this game at all.
No, he hasn't, and Origen are looking to end the game. Super minions are on the steps of Fnatic's base, and the inhibitor is under siege. Soaz has thrown down the subjugate. He's playing the frontline tank he needs to be. Glacial Fish is trying to separate it as a boot back throws Soaz. He's dropped. Inhibitor shield falls shortly, and Zven gets the final autos down. One for Inhib. Good trade for OG.
They've got to call worth on that one, and it took them so long to take down Soaz. You could see he was tanking up the entire team of Fnatic, blowing all their cooldowns on him. So now, 2 inhibitors down, still the Baron power play intact, and now Origen can look to make the end game. If they can move up topside, keep the pressure constant on mid, this is going to be oh so tough for Fnatic to hang on.
Well, Soaz dying does slow him down, though. That is the removal of the Baron buff on the side lane split pusher that they were looking for. So there was only about a minute left now with, when you take into account the death time on Soaz, that Baron would have been available, but certainly a little over-aggressive. They have got 2 inhibitors and are in a very comfortable situation. It's a 12,000 gold lead right now for Origen. So realistically, there aren't too many ways of Fnatic getting into this game, save from Origen making a horrendous mistake. Honestly, Fnatic don't really have the damage to take out everybody from Origen without getting blown up first.
That's very true. But we did talk in the beginning of the game that they do have a lot of serious late game damage. The issue is, it's still taking a long time getting there, and they are running out of options fast. Yeah,
there has to be a lot of poke damage from Febiven and Rekkles before any fight for this actually to work for Fnatic here. And that's, unfortunate, because the team were looking to have a strong end to the split after IEM.
And even if Fnatic were to get any of that poke down or get in an advantageous position, Mithy just has the fight reset button in Tempered Fate. He's hit multi-man targets. Even if it doesn't find somebody on Fnatic, just the split that will be required would buy Origen time. 10 seconds left on Baron buff in that top lane. 3,000 gold more than Fnatic is what Origen have earned.
TB from Gamsu. This is the last-ditch play.
Lane. The last-ditch play indeed. The Q finds amazing, as does the True Shot Barrage, but the Fisher does nothing.
Well, they landed a lot of poke. Let's see if they can get the kill. They managed to find themselves one. It's amazing going down. Febiven will get the kill secure for that one. Fnatic, though, clumping up, trying to turtle it all in, and a lot of damage dealt on both sides as Mithy picks up Klaj. Some Portal Combat coming in, and now it's 4 on 4. Let's see if Fnatic can hold the line. They're going way too low. Excellent block from Gamsu, but it's not enough. Second coming in, trying to evaporate the double kill. That's going, and he's going oh so low. Gamsu, Rekkles shut down. Rekkles gets the secure on that one, but Origen are still too many members. Gamsu holding the line. The death timers, they're too high.
The Winions have already taken down a Nexus turret, and Origen ace Fnatic destroy the base and finish the spring split in 4th place.
What a difference having Peke as the starter can make. Even if it's all in their heads, doesn't mean it's not real.
1, 2, 3, Origen!
Ecstatic faces from Origen. Truthfully, it was 35 minutes of control. A slow build-up to a dramatic crescendo. And there was no doubt that Origen were the better team today.
No doubt at all. Looking at it, the way the game evolved, the early ganks onto Peke put Febiven behind. Mithy got himself involved in 14 out of 15 kills on this bar. He was everywhere around the map, and it was enough. Zven, Peke, hand in hand, having enough damage to take out Fnatic. Fnatic didn't seem to have any answers to it.
No, they were trying to stall, but when you fall back and retreat constantly, eventually you back out over a cliff, and they just fell down.